Hey guys, in this video I want to talk a little bit about what to expect if you start working from home. I know that's a common theme now, and we'll talk more all about why, because I think that's super important to understand, and it's a really great thing. I highly recommend it. I love working from home, and I would say if you're interested in that, take advantage of the trend. I know of a lot of moms who are in the process of looking for work that they can do from home. I know moms who stay at home who are trying to find a job that they can do while they still stay at home. I have a friend that homeschools and is looking at, tutoring online, that kind of system. I've got friends that work kind of like a traditional job, but they're able to work 2 to 3 days from home, but they're full-time. Like, I'm not full-time. I do 30 hours a week. But it's a really common thing now, so I just want to give you some advice, or just some what to expect. Okay, when you start working from home, you should definitely think about how much childcare you're still going to need. I recommend still having some childcare, especially if your kids are young. Okay, if you've got kids in school and you can work from home while kids are in school, then there you go. But I feel like this is mostly for moms that have got little kids underfoot, but that are trying to make that second income, right? Because our world is just predicated on the fact that there's a second income. It's just hard to get around the fact that it's hard to have enough money in your household, it seems like, with one income. So if you're looking for that second income, but you've got little kids, you want to stay home with them, especially if you've done the math and you're like, I could go, for many people, if you go and you work full time, by the time you spend the gas money, and then you spend money with like the nicer clothes and the makeup and the hair and just like more of what it is involved to be professional and be there all day, and then by the time you're paying someone to have your kids, all day, if you're looking at working from home, looking at the finances, I would encourage you to still try to find some money for childcare. My most recent tip to a mom that I know, and she said, oh, that's great, is look for homeschoolers. I've recently found a homeschooler who, is middle school age, and I actually usually mostly stay here while she watches, the little kids downstairs. I've got my big kids at school, and I've got the younger two who are 3 and 1, and they're downstairs with her, and I work in my office. And we live close to our office, so sometimes I go into our, the actual office for some meetings. But I highly recommend still budgeting for some babysitting. It can be a trick to find sitters and have like a main one or two, but then to have somebody else that is available but that you don't usually use. It's hard to have the budget to commit to several, but then if one can't do it, then you have backups. I found with my job, they've gotten used to the flexibility, and I know I have 2 different sitters right now, and one's much more consistent and the other's less so, and I'm able to schedule my meetings accordingly. So childcare, plan to have some childcare, have some time where you know that you'll consistently be free, and then with your time management and your projects, work to make sure that your most strategic time is spent during those hours, or that day. So right now for me, that's Monday, Friday, and then sometimes Tuesday. I make sure that I have my things that I know I've got to do. If I've got video calls that have to be at a certain time, if I need to be in person, I schedule at those times. And then if I've got phone calls, or we're using Zoom now, and so we're doing a lot of video conference calls, which has been amazing for me. And so afternoon is nap time, and so I know that I can schedule that then, and then I just work my kids. So go ahead, and if you're thinking about this, go ahead and start practicing. Say that you wanted to not be interrupted from 2 to 2:30. Wear your kids out in the morning, right? Play with them, feed them lunch, and then put them down for a nap, or start a movie or show right before it's time for the meeting to start. And I actually recommend that in general. I'm trying to work through that with all of my boys. Just the interruptions are intense, right? So the more children you have, the more likely it is that you get one happy, and then you start to something, and then another one needs something. But just practice that skill of working with your kids and knowing. Moms know, kids think we have eyes in the back of our head. It's because you see them doing something, and you go ahead and start to walk out of the room to do something else, and then you saw that they were in a position where it looked like one kid might be about to grab a toy from another kid, right? So you're like walking out of the room and you're like, Ben, don't take that from your brother. And they're thinking like, how did mom know that I was doing that? Well, as soon as Andrew starts crying, and I'm like, oh, Ben, don't do that. So anyways, know your kids, know yourself, start to think about how you're going to find as much time as you need. Now, if you're going to be a virtual assistant and not an employee, and you're going to do the whole like time tracking and billing and stuff, which I've started to think about working toward being able to do that in a couple years. So I've started to look at that and then look at what I need to make per hour. And I'm like, oh, if I want to still work 30 hours, but I'm only actually going to work like 25 with clients or something, and another 5 would have to be just running my business. If I was doing that, then you need to charge people for the 30 hours, divide that among 25, and then figure out how much you actually need to make, right? So I haven't had to do that, but think about how much you're actually working, and then I would even divide the amount of time that you're going to work into the different kinds of hours. So how much time do you just need on your computer or on your phone checking email and answering people or brainstorming a project? And then how much time do you actually need at once in meetings or talking to people or brainstorming something interrupted or doing a data entry task where you're like, want to be able to start it and know where you are and do the whole thing. You know, what kinds of tasks can be interrupted? What kind of tasks can have kids in the background or stuff going on, and just really start to think about the flow. And then think about the morning hours and the evening hours. I don't really care if you think you're a morning person or you think you're a night owl. Well, I don't have to tell you this. If you're a mom, moms know, like all that stuff goes out the window. So if you want to be home with your kids, if you want to be able to do that, then I don't even need to tell you this, but just, get over the wanting to be a certain kind of temperament and think about, totally getting text, I have to make sure that nobody at work needs me right now. Okay, so I'm not working right now, but always on call. Okay, so one thing you just need to know, think about the kind of, if it's one company or if it's several clients, who you're going to be working for, but the nature of, instead of doing a 9 to 5 and being at home and helping coordinate, helping do different projects, we'll get into a bunch of the different kinds of tasks you might be doing, but just know that it's going to be more like being on call. I check my email once in the evening, most evenings, and sometimes on the weekends, depending on what's going on, just to check, because in the scheme of things, the return on investment for my time and what I know, it is worth it for me to check in case somebody has got a question. Now, we're in the real estate industry, and so it's and I supervise a lot of contractors, and so I manage them, and so they're working different hours, so I just know that I need to be potentially able to at least pick up my phone, check my email, make sure that somebody doesn't have an important question for me. Or even that could wait, but that they could keep working if I could tell them something they need to know or point them towards something. So just know that it's going to be more on call. You don't necessarily work 9 to 5, and there are pros and cons that come with that. And I think that's okay. You just go with it. You learn, what's needed to be able to have the privilege of working from home. And a huge part of that is still being available and helping. Like, I make a real point I want people to know, in my company, that I am still available and how to get a hold of me. And they kind of know which days, and, we all try not to email in the evening and stuff. And that's where relationship goes a long way. You want to have a good relationship with people that you're working with. But just setting expectations, especially if you're like a virtual assistant and you're working with clients, then you're going to need to set expectations about hours, but still be a little bit flexible to know that you might need to check your phone here and there. And then, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, so morning, evening. I'm a morning person. I would love to get up and work from 8 to 11:30, but I have to put my kids on the bus. And so I used to go to bed early, and now I stay up later. And if I've done everything else that has to happen for everybody else in my life, and it's 10 o'clock, I'm starting to realize that maybe from 10 o'clock to midnight, I should write a blog post. If I've done my day job, if I've done my feeding everybody, if the house is clean enough or it can get cleaned tomorrow, then I've got that little bit of time, and that might be when I need to do, this, doing videos for you guys. That's what it looks like for me. For you, if you're just starting out and you're looking at your week, and especially the younger your kids are, the more strategic you need to be about your time management, the more you need to look past the 9 to 4, the 9 to 5, and say, a couple of times a week, can your husband, give you a few hours on Saturday? Can it be one evening a week that they put the kids to bed? Can you work for an hour, after bedtime every night? I don't like getting up early, so no, scratch that. My kids don't cooperate when I try to get up early. I haven't really done the getting up early unless there's something that I really went to bed thinking about, and I woke up and I had the brainstorm right, and I wake up early, or for whatever reason, then I might get up from 6 to 7. But I find, and I think everybody else, when you wake up early to be before your kids just wake up earlier, no matter how quiet you are in the house. At least that's what I've found. Always happens, no matter what. So I tend to stay up. I know they're asleep. They're going to sleep from 11 to midnight, and then I just wake up when they do. But we'll talk about morning routines. There will be things that I'm so excited to share with you from, years of doing this and my experience. And then there will be stuff that I share because I'm still in the journey and I'm still figuring out, and you know as well as I do, as soon as we figure out our kids, they change. And the more you have of them, the more you have to figure out which one is changing, and how everybody needs to adjust. But fortunately, the older they get, the more they can do stuff for themselves, and the more that they can understand that you need to have a rhythm for the household and that kind of thing. So I hope those were some fun tips. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm going to stop there. Trying to hit one topic per video, but feel free to comment. I will reply to you. I would love to engage in a conversation with you all, and feel free to ask me a question and I will cover it in a video soon. Even if you watch this a ways in the future, come find me. Find me on social media, find me on my blog, reply to this. If I don't see it, get in touch with me if you have a question. I'd love to cover it and help you think about how you can work from home online and still be a mom and still balance life and still take care of your kids and still take care of yourself and still take care of everything. So, all right, until next time.